Let me pull it up. Maybe you can do the invocation prayers in the meantime.
I am going to take Adi Purushu's wonderful bhajans as the invocation prayer because he covers it all. And those who are not here to hear it, I suggest that you come early to hear them because they're very, very endearing. And I would just like to pray that all the devotees that are present, that you pray that I somehow make a connection, somehow reveal something in the Shastra that we all need to hear, and that I say something that's pleasing, that I somehow, once again, make a connection, and that we can all become enlightened by this wonderful Bhagavatam and all scripture. So thank you very much. Go ahead and read the...
Okay, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 3, The Birth of Lord Krishna, verse 41 today. Adrishtvan yatamam loke silvadriya gunai samam aham sutovam abhavam prishni garba iti shruta. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace. Since I found no one else as highly elevated as you in simplicity and other qualities of good character, I appeared in this world as Prishni Garba, or one who is celebrated as having taken birth from Prishni. Purport. In the Treta Yuga, the Lord appeared as Prishni Garba. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Prishni Garba iti soyamam Treta Yugavataro Lakshyate. This is it. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhima Prabhu, the floor is yours.
Once again, please pray for me in this speaking of this. I'm very nervous. I always get very nervous and my mind goes blank. So I'm hoping Krishna, who is the reservoir of remembrance, will help me speak today. I could not find, we don't have the verse up and I don't have the name, but I could not find anything on the internet regarding Prishni Garba. What is the name, Prabhu? Stay on the line.
Prishni Garba.
Yeah, I could not find anything, not even in Wikipedia. But what's important here is good character and simplicity. And yesterday, Murli Gopal, please, Krishna. Murli Gopal talked about Jayananda Maharaj, so to speak, Jayananda Das, who is considered our first saint in the movement. And those things were never so manifested as purely amongst the disciples of Prabhupada in the beginning days. As we know, there's many devotees who are like this, even to this date. But if we speak of Jayananda, he was a simple soul, which is so important. When we are simple, Krishna can pour in everything we need to know. And when we are of good character, well, that's Krishna too, shining through. Everything that's good about us, from our very life breath, to the shine in our eyes, to the love we disseminate, to the service we manifest, to the humility of understanding that we are Krishna's, and that anything that is good about us in our character is due to Krishna. And Jayananda was instantly, and other devotees, all of you, especially here, what's so attractive and what is so endearing about all of you and manifest succinctly in Jayananda Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and all our other acharyas, is that they had this, oh wow, I just opened my eyes. I can see myself here. is that they had Krishna shining through. They had an intimate connection with Krishna. And so today's class is about that intimate connection that is so necessary, that for all the things that we learn, or all the austerities that we perform, all the shlokas that we memorize, of which I've very few, even all the service that we do. The most important thing, as Prabhupada says, that is that we learn who Krishna is, and that we, through bhakti yoga, bhakti love yoga, to link up in love means intimacy. It means here and now. It means an understanding that Krishna is with us always and at every moment. That there isn't this, we die peacefully, as Prabhupada, I just listened over a lecture. Prabhupada says, no one dies peacefully. That we think we're going to die peacefully, and, that's going to be, and then we go back to Godhead. And as Venkata Bhatta talked about the other day, that's not always the case. If you're really a pure devotee, it's birth after birth, Krishna, whatever you want to do with me. Bali Maharaj, Atmani Nivedanam, he surrendered everything in the end. He put his head down. Krishna put his foot there, and it wasn't all come back to Godhead and play in the fields of Golok. And we all know we want to go there. Krishna pushed him to hell so he could rule over hell and keep those demons in line. So we have to accept that. And that every devotee prays, all the Goswamis. Who is it that said, I just wish to Lord Chaitanya? Anyone. Who is it that said to Lord Chaitanya, let me take all the sins of the world and take birth?
Vasudev Datta.
Yeah. Thank you. My eyes are closed because I couldn't see who said that. He said that, and Lord Chaitanya said, you have purchased me. You've purchased me. This is an example also present in Christ. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And for preaching love of God, and love thy neighbor, they crucified him. And Christ said, even though I don't want this, you may let this cup pass, this cup that you give me, Lord, which was, he knew what was going to happen. It was prophecy. Christ said, thy will be done. And so we continually hear in our Shastra that devotees, the great devotees, are willing to come back again and again for the sake of everyone else. I'd like to read something, since I'm talking in the Judeo-Christian tradition here, and then I'd like to go forward with some things that Prabhupada said about developing an intimate relationship with Krishna. And first, I'd like to just quote something from a purport, Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam 3:24-23. This is from the purport. It's very simple, but we always have to remember this. Wherever there is bhakti, there must be three things: the devotee, the devotion, the devotee, the devotion, and the Lord. Without these three, bhakti, and Bhagavan, lover, love, and the beloved, there is no meaning to the word bhakti. So we understand in this that this is a great relationship, a great surrender. When we surrender to Krishna, we surrender to his instructions, and we surrender to the essence of his instructions. Christ said that the greatest love there is that we should be willing to give our life for another. And so, therefore, we come into this group as children, as prodigal children of God, of parts and parcels of Krishna, that we surrender to this instruction to be willing to give our lives. Let me read this from Psalms of David. O Lord, hold on for a second. Psalms is actually songs. And so they instruct, hold on for a second. They instruct that the Psalms, like in Kirtan, like in Bhajan, these prayers should be sung. It is said in Goloka Vrindavan, every word is a song, every walk is a dance. Anybody know the third part of that? Every word, every talking is always sung, and when we walk, we dance. Anyone know the third?
Everywhere's the sound of Krishna's flute.
So there's always music in the background. It's just so joyful. So I'd like to bring a little bit of that flute here in reading this. This is a particular song that plays a lot of the fifth note. This is Krishna's note that calls the gopis to ultimate surrender. Can you hear this? Can you hear this?
Yeah.
Psalm 139. O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and mine uprising. Thou understandest my thoughts from afar off. Thou compassed my path and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word on my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high. I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. And if I make my bed in hell, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, fear, even the night shall be about me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike to thee. Now listen to this. See if it reminds you of something. For thou hast possessed my reins, my chariot. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works. How wonderful is Krishna. And that my soul knoweth right well. Now, can anybody tell me the one verse that I mentioned there? For thou hast possessed my reins, and thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. What does that remind us of? Krishna Das, Parikshit Maharaj. Wonderful. And thou hast possessed my reins?
Arjuna.
Yes. So we can see that when you look for Krishna, Krishna reveals himself everywhere. In other scriptures, in the words of the devotees, everywhere. If you just, as Christ said, seek and ye shall find. Listen, and it will be revealed unto you. So we understand that Prabhupada, Jayananda, and all the great acharyas had this intimate connection, this yogic connection with Krishna, and that is transparent via media. What intimacy is all about. There's intellectual intimacy, that is knowledge, experiential intimacy, that is like ruchi, that you experience the presence of Krishna, whether the deities open up and your heart jumps, or Krishna reveals something in your life and you have this aha moment. Emotional intimacy, just sharing with the devotees, getting something off your chest, a doubt that is alleviated. Adi Purush all the time calls me, and I just say, hey man, I'm in trouble, or I'm really disturbed by this, or this is hard times. And he just says something simple, don't worry, Krishna's got you. You need to hear that sometimes from another devotee, that surety, that despite everything, Krishna is right there. He has you in his right hand. Chapter 6, text 47, Yoganam api savasham. I'm going to try to cut a lot out here because there's a minimal amount of time. Translation from the Bhagavad Gita. And of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshiping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is highest of all. So this is a transcendent connection in love. Prabhupada writes in the Srimad Bhagavatam 126 in the purport, each and every living being has his eternal form in spiritual existence. And Krishna is the eternal attraction for all of them. Krishna is the cynosure. When we are in spiritual existence, when we are purified from this ahankara, the last thing that we need to be purified, the I and mine, the ahamameti. When we're purified from that, and we're in pure Sat Chit Ananda, Sat Chit, Sat, we're here and now, Chit, it's revealed to us, everything. Ananda, we're happy. Why? Krishna's right there. Just like that song, that Krishna's with me at all times. Hold on for a second. Prabhupada wrote in the Bhagavad Gita in the purport. I love Prabhupada's purports because they just bring it home. It was so special. His purports, even Prabhupada said, he didn't write them, Krishna wrote them. And Prabhupada said 90% of understanding the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam is in my purports. 1876, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 76. Or is that Bhagavatam? I just wrote BG. The result of Krishna consciousness is that one becomes increasingly enlightened, and he enjoys life with a thrill, not only for some time, but at every moment. So Prabhupada's always helping us to understand that in this bhakti, the bhakti, the Bhagavan, the lover, the love, and the beloved, that we should be thrilled. And if we're not thrilled at every moment, we have to realize that we're doing something wrong. I'm not thrilled at every moment. I'm frightened. I'm anxious. I forget. The world is too much with me. Troubles in mind. But Krishna wants us to fight. Arjuna had his bow, the Gandiva bow, and it slipped from his hands. He was so disturbed about this world. And trust me, this Kurukshetra, this is here and now, and this is going to come down upon us real quick. Not just birth, death, old age, and disease in our particular body, but everything that we think we got planned with our money in the bank and our PhDs and our careers. It's all going to come to an end real soon. Things are going to become topsy-turvy real quick. I can't express to you, it's not 100 years. It's right around the corner. And we have to be taken to church. We have to realize that this intimacy is also like the intimacy of a little toddler who runs behind his father's legs when he feels frightened. So this is also intimacy. Prabhupada says in his purport, Krishna is our most, in the Srimad Bhagavatam 125 purport, Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father, or son, as in yesterday, Vasudeva and Devaki praying for Krishna. He's that most intimate master, friend, father, or son, and object of conjugal love. This is why Krishna said, even praying for me as the son, that's great, that's wonderful, they're pure. But ultimately, he's the object of conjugal love, that pure surrender, Atmani Vedanam. Yes, we have these relationships and Krishna makes them happen, and it's the most wonderful thing in the world, and there's nothing higher. But ultimately, it's almost surrendering like a bride. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. So Ananda Bayo, we are always seeking this pleasure, this satisfaction. Remember that song by the Rolling Stones, I can't get no satisfaction. That's why we're running around all day long. Got to make the money, got to pay the bills, got to get this, got to get a wife, got to get a husband, got to get my career, got to get good marks. Running. Because we're not satisfied. So many examples in the Bhagavatam of those who come to this point. Dhruva Maharaj, who wanted the whole world, a kingdom greater than his father. When he saw Krishna, he goes, I don't want anything. I don't want these glass beads. I have a diamond before me. That's complete satisfaction. That's Ananda. Seeing Krishna or behaving in such a way that Krishna sees you, that he casts his glance upon you. And when you get that, this world just fades away. This Prabhupada says, this body is a field of activity for the living entity. It's the Chaitra Gyan. We need to know about this field. Even in quantum physics, they say that that you have, like, okay, let's go down to the atomic particles. It's things even smaller, quarks and bosons. And this, what is it, CERN, they're colliding these particles together to even break them apart. Just like when they broke the atom apart, kaboom, atom bomb. See, the demons, they want to break apart Maya. They want to usurp Krishna's energy. And what they get is, boom, they get blown up. Because they can't handle the truth. They can't even handle the material truth. Sorcerers, all of them. So this is, why do we forget Krishna? Why do we forget this vision of Krishna that will ultimately bring us great happiness and complete satisfaction? We forget it because we've decided to come to the land of I and mine. We want to be little gods. That's what God said in the Bible when man ate of the tree of knowledge. He had the Garden of Eden. He even had Eve name the animals, have dominion over them. And he said, just don't eat of the tree of knowledge. And of course, Eve did, tempted. It's not Eve's fault. It's the way of will, of independent will. Otherwise, we can't love Krishna without having free will. Krishna gives us free will. We have that. This is the only thing that Krishna doesn't already own. And that is our decision to love him. And so Eve took that in her free will, and Adam, being less intelligent, followed her. And God said, what have you done? Now you're covering yourselves up and you're ashamed of yourselves. They were naked. They were in Eden. And now they're covering themselves and they're ashamed. Adam tried to hide from Krishna, from God. He says, why are you hiding? You've eaten from the tree of knowledge. So you want to become like one of us. Notice Krishna says, God says one of us. Because Krishna is never alone, Prabhupada said. He always has his entourage. Radharani is always right there. So you want to become like one of us. Well, out of Eden you go. Go figure. And so we get material nature. And the simpler we live, the closer we are to Krishna. Simple living, high thinking, Prabhupada said. And the more convoluted and complicated and sophisticated and scientifically fed we live, depending like Hiranyakashipu on all manners of our knowledge and twisting mind and uncovering matter and messing like Pandora with Pandora's box, and we're unleashing God knows what. And it's coming. Because now we can mess with DNA. And we did. We messed with DNA. COVID. That was a virus that was with bats, and now it's within humans. I'm not even going to go into it. But we're messing not with atoms now. Now we're messing with biology. We're messing with the life itself, DNA. They say now we can hack the human genome. Not only do we know the human genome, and they're already doing it, now we can hack the human genome. These are the demons at work. This isn't going to help us. Simple living. You eat from Mother Earth, Mother Bhumi. You take the milk of the cow. You breathe. You look at nature, and you're reminded of Krishna at every moment. This is intimacy. Not the land of I and mine. This is Krishna's land, and he's given it to us to remind us of him. And whether we're born again and again, or whether Krishna says, listen, we need one more person in this game that we're playing in Goloka. We need one more player. Come on home. You can be on my side. And then you go back, because it's up to Krishna's sweet will and not ours. We just got to be ready. We just have to be ready to surrender. And this is intimacy. So if this place is not our true field, if this body isn't our true self, and this life and success within this life and material existence isn't our true path, and if our desires aren't by their true desire, isn't by its very nature vain, the desire for wealth, the desire for beauty, the desire for great parentage, the desire to take birth in the heavenly planets, then what is our true path? Let me give you an example. Rukmini's letter to Krishna from Krishna book. Krishna, you are the most attractive person in the whole universe. And having listened to your glories, which enters one's thought through the ears and destroys all woes of the body and mind, O Achyuta, my shameless mind dwells upon you, incapable of being wrenched away from your beautiful form, which is the ultimate thing for anyone to set his eyes upon. And that form bestows all eternal fortune. O Mukunda, which girl who has some strength of mind is born of a high family and in at least some way comparable to you in upbringing, character, beauty, education, age, and wealth would not simply woo you by mind. You who looks like a lion, Jaina Shringadev. You who looks like a lion in human form and who is simply enchanting to the minds of all living beings in this world. Please accept me. You please accept me by my own will. I'm going to skip forward here for time's sake, even though this is such a beautiful prayer, and I suggest that you read it every day. Prabhupada said we must act a way in which Krishna wants to see us. That's called wooing. How do we woo Krishna? Well, first of all, we give him a call. We get his number. And the first thing we do is we call his name. Don't permit the king of Chedi, Shishupal, to take possession of me. It will be like a wily jackal stealing away the royal food earmarked for the consumption of a lion. See, this world, it's just jackals. We see it. Don't trust them. Don't trust this world. Don't trust the kings and the princes, so-called kings and princes of this world. Don't trust the sorcerers of this world dissecting material nature. Maya will have her do. Mahamaya Durga will have her do with them. When you go down the rabbit hole, you see that there is no difference right now than what happened in Krishna's time when Krishna manifested in the Bhagavatam, Kamsa and his demons, Putana, false teachings, Trinavarta, trouble within the movement, trouble within mental speculation, Bakashura, duplicity, on and on. They're within us and they're without us. Don't think your money in the bank is going to save you. Don't think your degrees are going to save you. Don't think you're getting along with this world is going to save you, because this isn't our home. Rukmini did not. Chedi was a prince. He had everything. I mean, Shishupal was a prince. Many princes came for Rukmini. Rukmini said, my hands should not be dirtied by that evil fellow like Shishupal. You, Krishna, the unconquerable, you please come over to Vidarbha tomorrow itself without being noticed by anyone. You must annihilate and defeat Shishupal with a retinue, with your valor, and marry me through the Rakshasa method as a prize for your valor. So we have to pray like this. This is intimacy. We have to pray when we chant our rounds in the morning. And I say that because it's so very important. Prabhupada said chanting is not, Prabhupada said chanting is 90% of our advancement. What is advancement? It's simply becoming who we truly are, becoming revealed. Those who have eyes to see will see. Once I saw Once I saw through a glass darkly. Once I saw through a mirror, as Lord Chaitanya said, Cheto Darpana Majanam. Once I looked in the mirror, there was a dust. I can't see who I really am. But you chant, you call out to Krishna, and Krishna comes and wipes that mirror. And then what is advancement? It is simply, Bhakti Hugo, where am I? It is simply becoming who we truly are. It is our constitutional position, which is lover of Krishna. We are lovers. There's no greater romance. And isn't that what we're really seeking in this intimacy? Of all things in this world, you can't enjoy anything in this world without some sort of love. And that's what we should pray to Krishna to reveal to us, what our true path, our true love is. Rukmini went so far to say, as I will kill myself through severe austerities in this life, and will be born hundreds of future lives till I attain your company. Okay, remember, this is someone, the goddess of fortune, who could have had anyone. And she chose Krishna, sight unseen, simply by hearing about him from the great sages who would visit the kingdom and the castle. Haribol. So she wished to be kidnapped and married in the Kshatriya style. So we must be willing to give blood. What time is it? I can't, 7:50. Holy smokes. All right. So remember that Krishna is, there's a whole nother half to this. But this is, I guess I have to end it now, because if anybody has any other things they'd like to add to this, there should be no questions because it was all Shastra. So if you'd like to add to this, but remember, Krishna says, know that all beautiful, glorious, mighty creations spring but from a spark of my splendor. Get out in nature, take a look around, look at a leaf, look at Krishna's magic at work. Trust not the magic of this world, of men, of Shishupal, of Kamsa. Trust in Krishna's magic. I would like to read one thing in closing. This is a poem by Emily Dickinson. Most of you know her who are from the West. She was a transcendentalist poet. This tells us what we are to do in our heart to develop this intimacy. What is necessary? The soul selects her own society, then shuts the door to her divine majority. She is present no more. Unmoved, she notes the chariots pausing at her low gate. Unmoved, an emperor be kneeling upon her mat. I've known her from an ample nation. Choose one. Then close the valves of her attention like stone. So this was Rukmini. She selected Krishna, and then she shut the door on all others. She was present no more in this world. She was willing to take birth again and again and perform austerities. When you perform austerities to that nature that we read about in the Bhagavatam, that means you've had enough of this world. You are pushing it all aside and telling Krishna, I don't want it, I want you. And I've known her from an ample nation. That means she, Rukmini, could have had anything. All these devotees, the Goswamis, Rupa and Raghunath came from wealth. Okay. They had everything. They chose Krishna. They choose one. And then they close the valves of their attention. The valve of our attention is our heart. This is where bhakti comes from. Our heart, not from here, from here. That's why Lord Chaitanya said, it's the simple heart. Even that devotee who couldn't read the Bhagavad Gita, he didn't know Sanskrit. He was a Brahmin, but he couldn't. People made fun of him. But he said, I just am picturing Krishna holding the reins. Remember, I read at the beginning, Krishna's holding your reins. I'm envisioning Krishna and I'm crying. Lord Chaitanya said, why are you crying? He says, I'm imagining Krishna's beautiful form and it's moving me. And Lord Chaitanya said, this is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. You have truly understood the Bhagavad Gita. Not all those ones who can read Sanskrit and pronounce it perfectly and who have memorized many shlokas and who have no love because of their pride. But you who are humble, he closed the valves of his attention like stone. So we have to choose that good part, that intimate part, that part that inspired Jayananda to just keep on serving with love and adoration, that inspires all of you who are inspiration to me. When I see you, I see your effulgence. I see it. This is the test of love. What are we willing to endure? What are we willing to do with our time? Every moment is precious. And if we remember Krishna, his form, and his name, then we will develop that intimacy and all good fortune will be ours. So I'm going to end this here. Perhaps if I get a chance to give a class again, I will go on to the second half. So Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening to me. I'm talking to myself more than any of you. So please bless me with anything that you'd like to add. Hare Krishna. Hello? How are you, Bo?
Biru, I have to hop off. It's Jaya, but I put it in the chat. I just wanted to say, Dayal told us that the best preacher is a happy devotee. And I wrote in the chat, I want to add that the best preaching is a sincere devotee. And every time you give class, your sincerity just shines on and it fills all of our hearts. So thank you so much, because the whole time I just felt, along with the Krishna's flute, I felt your voice also calling us home. And you were so lion-hearted. I think it's perfect that you gave this class today. So thank you so much, Bhima. Haribol.
Thank you. Jai Prabhupada.
Lion-hearted preacher, lion-hearted teacher, best preacher, sincerity, Shastrik, Bhima Prabhu, amazing class, beautiful, thank you very much. And beautiful sound effects, always. Okay, so let me see if I can call somebody out. Bhakta Yugo, what's your takeaway?
Well, Prabhu, I need to really express my gratitude and appreciation for the class. It was a really special one. I think it was a real treat this morning. I really appreciated kind of bringing in a little bit of transcendental literature and bringing in some verses from the Judeo-Christian background. I was raised Catholic, and then I became more or less atheistic in high school as I just kind of went along with the general trend of the world. And then eventually I found Bhakti and I came back to spiritual life. And when I started exploring Bhakti and developing that relationship with Krishna and developing my spiritual practice and learning from Prabhupada and the books, when I started picking up the Bible again and going to church again, I found a depth of experience in the Christian tradition that I hadn't had before. And it's really a testimony to that fact that these principles are universal. They're communicated in different ways, but I think you've really exemplified it by bringing in some Psalms. And then there's a lot of other things, but another key point, I think, is that idea of sincerity and that idea of intimacy. There, as I've learned from Prabhupada, by listening to Remembering Srila Prabhupada or following Srila Prabhupada or reading his purports or hearing his lectures or hearing about devotees speak from him, there's a few things that always stand out in my mind, and they echo and reverberate through my mind as kind of being particularly key things I've heard from Prabhupada. And one of them is how many times he would repeat that as the devotee advances, they come to a point where they meet Krishna face to face. And he would say that just as I am seeing you now, you can see Krishna. And he was serious. He wasn't joking. And that's just inconceivable for us, but that's what we're called to do. And also, I remember sometimes devotees would ask Prabhupada so many intricate questions about philosophy, or is it this way, or is it that way? In Golok Vrindavan, do they do things like this, or is it like this? And there may have been multiple occasions, but I know that there was at least one occasion where Prabhupada eventually responded, best that you go back to Golok Vrindavan and find out the answers to all this yourself. And I always keep that in mind because it's so powerful. It's like, yeah, we're not just meant to believe. We're not just meant to recite verses. We're meant to come to a point where we're tangibly experiencing the things that our acharyas write, not just reading them, but seeing them as a tangible reality in our life. And I think you've really offered a potent reminder of that. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Your comment is a class in and of itself. It was like a summary step. What I was trying to express. I'm so glad that I connected in that way to remind you of your Catholic upbringing. There is the essence in all scripture that bhakti is there. It's called the mystics, the mystic tradition. But Islam has a mystic tradition called Sufism. It's chanting and dancing and spinning. It's all about love. Kabir was all about love. It's the left-hand path. It's what we have Prabhupada brought over. It's prasad and dancing and being intimate and sharing and open with the other devotees. Let us not forget that. And that Krishna is, we have to have that faith, that seeing that you just talked about, Prabhu. Is done with the eyes of the heart, Anjana. You just like put that what's it called? Salve on your eyes, and that salve is love. And so when we pray to Krishna, we pray that that in our service, remember it's devotional service, not just service. In the Bible, I think, Prabhu, you can remember this, Martha and Mary. Martha came and said, I'll just read from the verse, Martha received Christ into her house. Remember, everything is not only for real, just as in Krishna's pastimes, but they also are real within our heart. Everything that Krishna does is here and now. It's within our hearts. All the demons and all the wonders and all the grace is in our heart. Didn't happen in the past. It did, but it happens even now. Martha received Christ into her house, and she had a sister called Mary, which also sat at Jesus's feet. This is like us when we sit at Prabhupada's feet. And Mary heard the word from Christ because Christ was there. But Martha was encumbered about much serving, and came to Christ and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Bid her, therefore, that she help me. Rise from your feet and come serve to get ready for the guests that are coming. And Christ said, and Jesus answered and said unto her, Martha, Martha, Thou art careful and troubled about many things. We find ourselves so immersed in service and we're running around and we have to serve until we drop. A devotee told me the other day, and this is true, but we have to make sure that we're dropping out of love, not just out of, just becoming busy. But one thing is needful, Christ said. One thing is needful, not two, one, Christ said. And Mary hath chosen that good part, and that shall not be taken away from her. So Prabhupada said, of all the things we do, the love that grows in our heart towards Krishna, that revelation shall not be taken from us. This is the important thing. That's why Krishna, when we do our service, and we might be doing our service great, wonderful. I'm not going to mention any names, but I know a devotee who served all his life and begged the world over to help build a temple in which devotees that are enjoying their stays and they're preaching now. And Krishna somehow arranged that despite all the work he did for many years, humiliating and being humble enough to beg all those years, undercover or not, he was cast out. Isn't it? Krishna said, you move on. And then some other devotees came in and took over, and they're doing wonderful. And, and that devotee went on and started something new. So this is a service that he should have, by any material means, become attached to. And yet he kept going because of love of Krishna, because of love of Guru's orders. I ramble on here, but this is so important that we understand that good part is the love, not the service. The service comes as a result of the love. Krishna will give you this service and that service. Anyone else? Hare Krishna.
Krishna Dayadas, unmute yourself. Okay, Krishna Dayadas disappeared from our site. Bhima Prabhu, beautiful class, beautiful, nice points. I have a question. How do we see Krishna when we're not face to face with him? Or where do we look for him? Maybe on the news channel or in our office, in our cubicle, or maybe in our relationship with the wife. Where is Krishna when I'm not face to face? Where do I look for him? And where do I not?
He's in his name. This is the one promise we get. This is the one thing that we've been promised. It's only going to get worse. We're only going to get older. If you think we've seen something, we haven't begun to see. He's in his name. Show Krishna how sincere, let us show Krishna how sincere we are by taking up what Lord Chaitanya has brought to us, his holy name. Call upon the name of the Lord and thou shalt be saved. Who do you think is saving you? It's Krishna. And when Krishna comes to save you, you see him, you feel him. You see Krishna every day. You can see him in a leaf. Who designed that leaf to take from the sun, to make chlorophyll, to make fruit for you to eat? Who did that? See Krishna. Your heart will see Krishna in that, in a leaf. See Krishna on the altar. What do you see? Who are these devotees who are spending their time doing rituals and dressing a stone statue? What is it that they are seeing? See Krishna in their love. There's something there. He's all around you. And use those things, the world, the wife yelling at you with her arms, out in a cobra hood. That's Krishna. If you want to see Krishna, you'll even see Krishna in the BS that's going on in the world right now and in the news. First of all, don't trust the news. Don't trust corporations. Don't trust the media. Trust Krishna. Go to Krishna like a little child. A little child has a quick, natural, spontaneous intimacy. That is, he runs to his mother's or his father's, and Krishna says, I am your father. Lord Chaitanya says, Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father. Run behind Krishna's legs. Daddy, daddy, Krishna, Krishna. That's how you see Krishna. Call.
Thank you. I'll just show Krishna how sincere you are, and I'll tell him that I'm friends with you, and I think I'll get my pass.
You'll go
you.
straight to hell.
Okay.
You'll
Thank
follow
you.
him straight to hell.
With you, I'm prepared. Wherever you're going, I'm with you. Okay. So, would anyone else like to say something? No? Okay. Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, seeing Krishna in his holy name and everywhere else pretty much ki jai. Narshinga Chaturdashi ki jai, divine protector. Thank you everyone for joining regularly, for asking questions, for sharing
Let
your
me,
realization.
can I say one thing?
Yes.
One more?
Yes.
Bahia Nishingo, Kriyadaye Nishingo. Nashringamading Sharanam Prapadai. He's outside, he's here in your heart. Surrender. Hare Krishna.
Nice, nice. I'm surrendering. Angelica is surrendering, I can tell. Akika Chan is surrendering. Bhakta Yugo, Julie, Kartik, Rameshwar Naik, Suzanne, and Yogeshwari are all surrendering to Nishingadev today. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Thanks everyone who's watching on YouTube. Thanks for choosing this channel, as opposed to so many other BS, right? Like Bhima Prabhu said, BS that's going on YouTube. Thank you very much. We love you all. Haribol.